right, let's hit it. About ready to go. Whew, come on. Hit that like, everybody. Got to get those likes up before we jump into the show. All right, here we are live. Yes, it's up. Good. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Aren't you happy you're here? I'm your host, Hal Sparks, and I will be Hal Sparksing the rest of the night as you try and crowbar the name Hal Sparks out of your head. You can't do it, so don't try. It's the essence of modern marketing. That's right. Talking about yourself in the third person and saying your name over and over again. It's so stupid, it just might work. So, hi there, everybody. Hello, chat room. Welcome. Good to see you guys. Oh, it resets and starts over again so that I get a fresh chat each time I go to this window now, which is good, I suppose. A tornado warning. Geez, be careful, Stacy. If you need to rush to the basement, just take me with you. Yes, this is absolutely true. Hold on one second. Someone was asking about this. Let's see.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Raymer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information.
Nope.
We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
This is true. Awesome. Glad you guys could be here. Now, there is a, let's see, did I even bother putting it? I guess not. Too much to cover, and I have a hard out today on the show because I've got to go pick up the kitties. They're done being broken. If you don't know, we took the foster kittens in. They finally hit 2 pounds. That's when you can get them spayed or neutered. Neutered. Spayed is, neutered is, so 2 of them got spayed and 2 of them got neutered. Yeah, that's the classification. Yeah, internal or external. So we're got to go pick them up and bring them back. So we have to leave around 5 o'clock. So I'm going to try and keep it tight. But there's so much to cover. I don't know if I can. So, but they have to go in 4 separate carriers, and I want to help Summer get them because it's a handful. So there you go. Now, there are a couple things that, Trump on his way back. I also want to make the case again that everyone in Trump's orbit hates his guts now because these are the pictures that they are using. When they are picking stills of this dickhead, they all look like this. Nobody is even bothering anymore. As a matter of fact, I feel like, oh, sorry, I should have probably warned you about that. That's not, yeah. Sorry, I apologize. If anybody didn't have a chance to avert their eyes, that's my bad. But this is not the kind of still they choose of you when they like you. Just saying. All right, before we get to that, James O'Keefe has released some footage from his version of the Epstein files, which I'm here to tell you is as fraught and full to the brim with bullshit as the Pam Bondi binders nonsense. And I'll show you why. So here's O'Keefe is like, I think it's time for the citizen journalists to release more on Epstein. If they're going to kill us, they have to kill us all. He's being very, like, a lot of bravado about this shit. And the lead up to this is just the fact that he posted Epstein Island's, like, the coordinates of the island. And then it's there, and it's all very mysterious, I can tell you. And then, but the point is, he posts released first ever footage from inside Jeffrey Epstein's private island mansion, which is not true. There was some YouTubers that broke into the place, took a boat over and filmed it. I'm sure there's some footage. It's the first time it's released, but allegedly he says that somebody in the government is sending him this stuff, and it ain't Pam Bondi, which is particularly weird. Now, I would argue, what a great way to distract from the fact that Trump is all over these files is to focus on the island, which is the idea that Trump never flew to the island on Epstein's plane because he has his own. And a lot of people would fly to an adjacent island and then helicopter over with a guy that Epstein knew that wouldn't keep track of who was on the helicopter because he doesn't have to. And that was fairly common. So these guys would get around it that way. So there's a bunch of people who went to the island and are kind of catching a lot of the heat on it, as they should. But there are a bunch of people who use this method and nobody knows. The other thing I would also like to say is that we need to see Donald Trump's flight logs. So just throwing that out there. All right. Because we know of at least one instance where Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and an unidentified underage woman flew with Trump from New York to Florida on Trump's plane. And there was a reporter on the plane that wrote an article about him pacing, waiting for Jeffrey Epstein to show up. So that's one of the reasons why they're focusing so much on the island, is because they think this will draw attention away from Trump's relationship with the dude for a quarter century. So picking up in the middle of this kind of stuff, this is just Benny Johnson piggybacking on top of O'Keefe's video. So this is, we'll see what he puts in there. I haven't watched this. I just know that's what he does. And I jumped ahead to when he starts playing, insider bits of it. I think this is that still the stills? And then so they go through here. So this is, you'll see what I mean.
It's used for. Nobody's ever seen inside a little St. James. The feds raided it, took everything.
The feds raided and took everything. Who was president when the feds raided and took everything? Does anybody remember? Like when the FBI was overseen by a president, who was that president when that raid happened? And where did all that evidence go? I apparently, Kash Patel can't find any of it. It's weird that it would be, you know what I'm beginning to think? I'm beginning to think that whole thing about they destroyed all the Jan 6 evidence is a distraction to even out when people find out that this evidence was destroyed as well during Trump's time in office.
After Jeffrey Epstein died, they took it all. You haven't seen any of the evidence. Nobody's ever gotten a camera into any of the buildings, especially the mysterious temple. James O'Keefe came with a video earlier this week showing the inside of the kitchen in this mansion, the main mansion.
Yes, a shocking revelation. The kitchen, you say?
In the house. The kitchen was filmed after Jeffrey Epstein's death, very shortly after Jeffrey Epstein's death. And it's like a very plain white kitchen. It's kind of like what you'd expect, with the exception of an extremely creepy painting of a small baby. It's the only color painting in the entire room. And there's a tiny baby in a pool of water in a sink holding a rattle, a somewhat phallic rattle. Let's make your skin crawl right here. This is the actual painting.
Also, it looks like a photo. I mean, maybe it's a painting, but it looks like a photo. It looks like a photo that somebody either ran through one of those things that has a painting, like a paint filter. But from all this, I don't know. I don't see that this is a painting or even that it fucking matters. But yeah. Did you see that the Prince was brought up in the Diddy trial? Oy. No. But I mean, he's going to bring up everybody.
Disturbing.
Did Prince stay away from him and try to get him killed or something?
To say the least. We went ahead.
It's a kid with a rattle in a sink, allegedly being bathed. I don't know what that is behind him. Doesn't matter. And there's a painting on the wall, which makes me think this looks more like a photograph.
Looked
but
into
whatever.
this painting, and apparently here behind the baby is a pecan.
Also, why are you? If it's a painting, why are you blocking out the baby's face? Right? If it's a painting.
So a $38 million Picasso, in fact. It looks like this in full definition. It's called Les Sauvages, or something like that.
Sauvetage.
The rescue. And what it is it's about rescuing someone you love from drowning in the water. Which, is that what they're doing with this baby?
Rescuing it from drowning in the sink? Gee, you're really onto something, Benny. My God, man. You know what you should do? You should spend a fucking week on this and completely avoid the fact that Donald Trump was on the call logs with Jeffrey Epstein for years, every week after he said they no longer talk to each other. This will busy you the fuck up.
A metaphor for the baby? I don't know. It's super creepy. But in this video, James said, get ready for more. We have more. And now this is...
Again, useless. I mean, would anybody know if that was just the inside of an abandoned house after the Malibu fires or something?
Very interesting. James O'Keefe just dropped his newest installment where they go through...
Where he apparently is doing the weather for Little St. James Island.
Other buildings on the Epstein property. James O'Keefe is getting these videos, he says, from government sources. Here you can see the creepy baby video inside.
Yeah, that's not a creepy baby. That's a YouTuber.
Library. There's the temple, right? That's so famous. But James is getting these videos from government sources. This is very interesting.
He says he is.
So the feds are now leaking to James. And James now has more internal, very disturbing footage from Epstein's island.
Of the architecture, the books were behind chicken wire.
Let's go to James's newest video.
Yes.
To release more never-before-seen video and images from inside Jeffrey Epstein's former island home, showing bizarre statues and decrypted...
Bizarre statues. Oh, man. You're really getting to the heart of this. But whatever you do, don't look into the fact that J.D. Vance was flying around on Epstein's plane during the campaign last year.
Message written on a chalkboard by Jeffrey Epstein himself. The Jeffrey
You think.
Epstein Island, also known as Little St. James in the Virgin Islands. Last time we took you inside the kitchen to show that really creepy image of a baby in a sink. YouTubers have snuck on the island. Luke Radowski, Tyler Olivier getting images of the outside of the structures. But today we're going to take you inside the structures.
Great. Fascinating. Finally, we're getting a look at his design taste.
Inside Jeff...
What? I wonder, are you getting a good look at the fucking couch fabric?
Epstein's library. We're going to take a closer look. Now, this has never been seen before. We are now inside the library.
How about you just play the footage of Trump dancing with this motherfucker while he was alive, as the two of them were each other's wingman? Why not? Here's a good idea. Why don't you play the record? Put up the records of the modeling agency that Trump and Epstein's buddy was running, that they both got girls from.
Line the wall.
Yeah, Nevitz Forever says, how do I know this is real? You don't. That's the point. And also, file this under who gives a shit. This is just like the binders. I mean, maybe there's something. Maybe at the end of this, he's saving some shocking thing. Another painting that has a kid in it to assume like, ooh, Epstein kids, therefore, like he got massages from fucking babies or something. It's so weird.
Including literature like Ernest Hemingway's Selected Letters, vacation reads such as Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Ultimatum, denser titles like The Golden Age of Theoretical Physics, and Salman Rushdie's Satanic Verses. Now, a closer inspection...
Satanic Verses, which is Again, an anti-Islam book. That's the one that nearly got him killed and got him blinded.
Revealed unusual objects, statuettes of winged figures in plague masks, and one of a semi-nude young woman washing herself while seated on a bidet. Video and photos inside the library also show a horse whip, which is right here under the chalkboard, apparently crafted from leather and bones. And then we go to this chalkboard over here. Now this...
Yes, let's get power, deception, Mien is face, maybe? Is that what it says? That's just something. Pepperoni? No, pepperoni. Pioneer? Music? Okay, who cares?
Chalkboard displayed cryptic words, including the word power, deception, mirror in face, dank brain, among others. Now, the chalkboard's message remains a mystery, and we're hoping that some of you in the audience can help decipher and ascertain.
Oh, believe me, they'll be on it. Yeah. Dank brain is obviously an anagram for Hillary Clinton's. If you use her middle name and you add a 2 and you divide the date by which she, if you take 30,000, which is the number of emails she hid, and you cross with the logarithm of the, and then you change it, and then it makes dank brain.
What Epstein might be talking about here. This is, again, right after he was arrested. We compared the words on the chalkboard to a note Epstein wrote in his prison cell before his death. Several letters and letter combinations from the note match those on the...
Fucking brilliant. I'm sure if you use the first letters of all of them in some sort of cascading order, it's got the combination to the safe in there that has the real black book, which is why Trump had it burned.
Chalkboard, which leads us to believe they were in fact written by Jeffrey Epstein. And we're not sure what this means, but we're hoping you in the audience can take a look at this and tell us what you think he was trying to say here. Was it a message he was sending?
And just so you don't, they don't want you to think that they are like farming comments for the algorithm. They are not doing that. They really do think there's a mystery to be solved.
World. We're receiving a lot of images, videos, and photos as a result of our reporting. These sources reaching out to us include those within the government, people who don't trust anybody, including our own Department of Justice.
Oh, you mean like the deep state? So you're getting these from the deep state. Gotcha. Dank Brain is a cool band name. Maybe that's what he was shooting for. He and Ghislaine were gonna do a duet. They were gonna tour all the Eyes Wide Shut parties as Dank Brain.
Or reaching out to us on Signal at 914-491-9395. We're currently corroborating.
Do not call that number and tell him to go fuck himself. Don't do it.
The material, producing the material, backing it up on secure drives, and...
Great. Why? In case anybody wants to recreate it for a made-for-TV movie?
Our very next Epstein report, which should come out tomorrow. The type of journalism that we do is not free. We just got sued yesterday. We have to hire lawyers to defend ourselves. As you know, we've been raided by the FBI. I've been arrested by the FBI. None of this is inexpensive. Our subscribers get these reports first with exclusive...
Okay, he's selling this. He's selling this footage that means fucking nothing. What? The question would be, like, if you're spending any money to do this, and you really give a shit, let's just say that you really give a shit, okay? Why don't you fly down to where Virginia Jeffrey killed herself and ask a lot of uncomfortable questions? Instead of standing in a studio where you paid to get the footage blown up into nearly wall-sized stuff, so what, you can sit in a fucking chair and pretend you're hanging out in Jeffrey Epstein's office after everybody goes home at night?
Behind-the-scenes footage coverage. By subscribing to O'Keefe Media, you allow us to be independent, free from advertising pressures or...
Jesus Christ. All right. There's a released never-before footage from Jeffrey Epstein's private... Okay. Oh, Shadow of Ezra. Shadow of Ezra is is a QAnon account. Epstein chalkboard is filled with power, deception, dark brain. The handwritten appears... Okay, just copying what he says. The novel has been accused of being Islamophobic by some Muslim communities, the satanic verses. Accused of it. The dude had a fucking fatwa against him. why you would go with Shadows of Ezra. Like, that's a straight up QAnon. Churchill, nothing to see here. Satanic passages are shown in the library from Epstein's Island. Okay, Satanic Verses is not a book about Satanism. It's him basically saying Islam is a satanic religion. See below, Jeffrey Epstein, Liar, Child Work. Okay, nobody gives a shit. Epstein's, somebody wrote all that. Finance and physics, power plants, appears, deception, truth, maybe Kelly Hawk underneath. Yeah, it's Kelly Hawk. They're busted. Tony Hawk's sister, I guess. Right, positive brainstorming session. That's what everybody does right before they hang themselves in jail. They do a big brainstorming session. Music, braise, dank brain music, braise, probably breeze or brass. We connect to, good Lord. Like, this is these dickheads just, we obtained video and images inside the Epstein Island. Should we publish it today? Publish Epstein's library. Do not publish. Jesus Christ. This is using this fucking monstrosity to farm clicks. Why would you even have to be asked? And who gives a shit the books that are in his library? They're either, I mean, do people only have books they truly believe in or read for pleasure or whatever in their library, or do they have a mix of things when they're dealing with, especially if you're engaged in blackmail and all kinds of other shit that he's doing? You'd think that, like, he has a copy of almost every book, because they're not just books, they're tools for conversation and that kind of stuff. He could be Hudson Hawk's sister. Kelly Hawk, yeah. Okay, more bullshit. Releases never before seen footage of Epstein. God damn. Yeah, they're just layering this shit. Fabric on Epstein's chair appears to be designed by London fabric company using the Italian crest of the Begin dynasty. Wikipedia has a small segment on his family name pertaining to 200 years declaring they were royal. Okay, because they bought, it's fucking expensive furniture. He was a billionaire, and he had antique furniture that was very showy. Good Lord. Keith releases never. Okay, Epstein. So this is Epstein had bizarre painting of Bill Clinton in a dress and heels in townhouse. Again, fucking with the guy. Not a picture, a painting. And then this is the other stuff that he had, like these dolls and other shit. Of course, Benny's gonna go for this painting of Clinton. Anything to avoid the fact that that Jeffrey Epstein said he was Donald Trump's best friend. They were best friends for a quarter century, and even Trump lied to the public and to Benny to his fucking face that they broke it off and were no longer friends, and he didn't really hang out with him and all that kind of stuff. He was still friends with Ghislaine, though, because she procures teenage girls for predators, and what's not to like, I guess?
So many more.
Okay, anyways, this is how they're selling it. The important thing that comes from this, and by the way, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Hi, chat room. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. The thing about, like, this, the O'Keefe stuff and the Pam Bondi stuff, is all of it is a head fake away from Trump. They are doing everything they can to distance Trump from it by, like, floating these little tidbits to get people engaged and think that that's it. But the entire purpose of that, and hold on, let me show you real quick. Let's see. I don't know, reporter, something like that. Yeah, there it is. This was from the Intelligencer, and this I go read there. Okay, this is the other one. Let me find another one. There's that one. Yeah. So at the Maxwell trial, this is what they're trying to avoid talking about. Maxwell trial. Flight logs show Trump flew on Lolita Express with Eric, Tiffany, and a Clinton advisor. Oops. There's a woman passing out on the set at Fox News, and he's like, we don't give a shit. Good Lord. Trump was a frequent flyer on board Epstein's private jet in 93 and in 1994. So would it take you 2 years of flying around with this motherfucker? Okay. Flight logs released by prosecutors in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial show Donald Trump flew aboard Jeffrey Epstein's plane jet with his former wife, Marla Maples, his children, Eric and Tiffany, as well as a beauty queen and a senior aide to Bill Clinton. Logs from Epstein's pilot, David Rogers, were entered into evidence by the U.S. District Attorney's Office as part of the case that alleges Ms. Maxwell helped to groom and traffic young girls for abuse. Ms. Maxwell, 59, has pleaded not guilty to 6 charges. She recruited and groomed young girls between 1994 and 2004. The defense said she is a scapegoat for Epstein's sex crimes. He killed himself in 2019 at the age of 66 while awaiting trial for sex trafficking. Who was president when he was in jail and he got arrested and his stuff was... who was, I don't even remember. So long ago. A passenger list shows on 23rd March 1993, Trump and Epstein flew from Teterboro Airport in Jersey to Palm Beach with Erin Nance, a former Miss Georgia, who competed in the 1993 Miss USA beauty pageant. Under Miss Nance's first entry in the flight logs, she's referred to as Miss Georgia and a runner-up in Miss USA. She also appears on other flights without Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump owned the Miss USA pageant, so he was transporting girls on the very plane. October 11th, 93, Trump is named as a passenger on a flight from Palm Beach to Teterboro. They flew back and forth from New York to West Palm Beach all the time. Sophie Biddle, one of Epstein's massage therapists, is mentioned often elsewhere in the logs, while other women named Dawn DeVito is also referenced in previous entries. 6 days after the flight, Mr. Trump is listed as returning to Teterboro on a flight with Epstein. Ms. Maxwell and others mentioned by their initials. On May 15th, 1994, Trump was listed as flying on Epstein's Hawker Siddeley jet with his then-wife Marla, their daughter Tiffany, Mark Middleton, an aide to President Bill Clinton. The group flew from Palm Beach International to Ronald Reagan Washington National and returned the same day without Mr. Middleton. Visitor logs. Remember how Trump was saying, I only came to D.C. 17 times. Remember that story? Remember how he always used to talk about that? This was one of those times. This was number 12 or some shit. Of all those, I've only been here 17. I never stayed the night. Well, one of the reasons he flew there and never stayed the night is because he flew there with Jeffrey Epstein and they left before evening. Or before, like they didn't stay the night. They just flew back that night. Let's see. Yeah, more than 100 pages of flight information between 93 and 2005 show Epstein was constantly on the move between his properties in Manhattan and Palm Beach, New Mexico, and his private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Other prominent names to appear on the list were Senator George Mitchell and prominent lawyer Alan Dershowitz, who did go to the island. But hey, look, anybody who goes to that island, you see the kid in the tub painting or whatever in front of the Picasso and who would think that there was something sketchy going on, right? Everybody in MAGA world thinks like, oh my God, that painting is so fucking creepy. Meanwhile, that's where Alan Dershowitz was eating his fucking cornflakes. So, yeah, that's the plane. Never mind the fact that, Joe Rogan worries about horrific possibility Trump deporting. Oh, that's that's the footage of the other stuff. They're just rolling through this other footage on the Independent. So Trump had this thing where he, let's see, Trump and, okay. Yeah, CNBC was the beginning. Yeah, this is my favorite, I think. This is, you want to talk about like the liberal media? You want to talk about like how the liberals and the Democrats control, it's basically state media. And yeah. Donald Trump campaign accidentally uses an airplane once owned by Jeffrey Epstein. Accidentally. There's a headline. Sure. Why not? Why do you think Benny Johnson and all those assholes aren't covering that part of the story? Why do you think they're busy looking at pictures of the inside of Jeffrey Epstein's goddamn kitchen? By the way, here's the origin of this lie. It was the book, okay, in a new book called The Grifters Club. President Trump from his exclusive hitting on teen. Who wrote the book? Okay, President Trump. A new book says, Lady Epstein's banishment appears to have occurred months before Epstein pleaded guilty in 2008. Yeah. Okay. So this is the front. This is that book. Hold on. Does it come up? Trump says, yeah. Yeah, this is the part. Okay, so Trump says Epstein was never a Mar-a-Lago number. He was. New book tells what got him exiled. He was never exiled. This is an apocryphal bullshit story. This is the lie. Trump and Epstein broke up as friends allegedly over a real estate deal. Had nothing to do with some girl at Mar-a-Lago. This is a story that they used. This is a politically manufactured story that was meant to protect him from his own relationship with Epstein. And again, they had been friends. This is 92. They'd been friends for 5 years at this point. Something like that. How long would it take you to know that this guy was engaged in some hinky shit? By the way, there's Ghislaine right there. You know how they talk about how like the this was a party and it was just for the two of them. She was always in tow. Yeah. Just saying. Okay. So the important part of this, and I think the part I wanted to draw attention to, is that these guys are going to do all this shit. They're going to show this painting that Epstein has of Clinton, which seems to mock him in a dress, and do anything they can to avoid the obvious and incriminating footage of these guys partying together all the time. That's Benny Johnson's burden, ladies and gentlemen. Poor Benny. Eventually he knows that if all the details come out, Trump is going to be smack dab in the middle of it. That's not going to be fun. But he's got to pretend to give a shit. Otherwise, the maggots will start getting antsy. And they'll go, hey, Benny, well, how come you don't give a shit about these things? Okay, speaking of being on an airplane, I don't know what this is. This is Trump giving a press gaggle on his way back from the Middle East. Because he said he left because his daughter just had a baby, and so he's going to fly home. That's what he said. And I don't know if that means he left early, or I think they were always planning to come back when they did. So odd. Yes. Sorry. There's going to be a lot of that tonight. Apologies. Okay. So this is new video. President Trump holds press gaggle on Air Force One.
Enjoy your flight. That was a great 4 days. I think it was a historic 4 days. The jobs and money coming into our country there's never been anything like it. You see that?
No, you don't. Not even close. Also, pretty sweaty. What happened?
And the companies are American-based companies. They're doing work that wouldn't have been available to them.
Oh, you mean when you're selling American products, especially weapons and stuff? Looking good, buddy. Looking real good. Selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, they would have done that business anyways. Yeah.
For November 5th. November 5th was a big day for our country. So I just want to thank you. You have great stamina also. We all have stamina because you needed it. That was a test. I think they were giving us a test. But
no, the rest of them were fine. You're the one who fell asleep.
it's amazing what they've done.
I'm sorry, this is...
In all three countries, you can't speak more highly. The job they've done is, in a fairly short period of time, is just outstanding, and they're great.
Also, what the fuck? What do you mean fairly short period of time? It's been like 30 years Saudi Arabia has been building up and turning itself into the new Cayman Islands.
Well, great leaders, three great leaders. So it's an honor. Now we'll go back to D.C. and have a nice grandchild waiting, which I'll see soon. But this was a fantastic moment for our country. I really believe that. Everyone's talking about it.
Uh-huh. They're talking about how it was the most obvious grift in the history of the country.
And the respect shown to our country was incredible. Because nobody's treated like that. Nobody's treated well like that. So...
Well, nobody's that easy to suck up to.
Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, you arrived here with a big victory. Nice to see you. Thanks for bringing us. You arrived here with a big victory, getting Idan Alexander out, working directly with Hamas, the last remaining American. Do you think the Israelis and Bibi Netanyahu can get his hostages out?
I don't know. We're going to find out pretty soon. We're going to know pretty soon. They're not in good shape, as you know. And different places. You know, it's not one place. It's different places. Some of them are in better shape than others. A little bit depends on the place where they are. But we'll be working with them to get them out.
The Israelis didn't want the U.S. to be recognizing the new Syrian government. Is there a message that
I don't know. I didn't ask them about that. I thought it was the right thing to do. I've been given a lot of credit for doing it.
He was asked by the Crown Prince. That's why it was the biggest applause he got, other than when he sucked up to the prince directly. The biggest applause line for a policy or change was when he said, "I'm lifting the sanctions on Syria." That was part of the deal he struck with them under the table. So that's why he did it. He didn't do it because he thought it was the right thing to do or whatever. He did it because it was crucial to whatever sales they were making in the country or whatever deal he was going to get out of it.
We want Syria to succeed. It's been
At what? It's kind of crucial.
for 10 years and much longer than that. It would not have been. These were very biting. When you look at the sanctions, these were really brutal. And they would have, I would say, zero chance of success. And this way they have a chance. Their leader's a strong person, but young and a lot of energy and wants to do a good job.
He met with that guy was it in Doha or was it in Dubai, wherever or maybe it was Qatar. It's hard to, like the pictures were all over the place and he looked a sweaty mess in all of them. So
the IDF was planning to send in tens of thousands of more troops and expand the war in Gaza, especially if there wasn't a ceasefire while you were here. Do you support that?
Well, we're going to see what happens. I think a lot of good.
Yeah, we are. I guess so. What's your definition of leadership? Sitting back and watching, I think. We'll see what happens. I mean, basically, I just told him, fill your boots, do whatever the fuck you want. And, we just told everybody we're not in the business of telling countries what to do anymore. We're not in the moralizing business. That's what J.D. Vance is. And for those of you that haven't been following along, what that's code for is fuck the Palestinians, goodbye Gaza.
Things are going to happen over the next month, and we're going to see. We have to help also out the Palestinians. A lot of people are starving on Gaza, so we have to look at both sides. But we're going to do a good job.
Yes, we'll look at starving. We'll look at that. You'll watch it on video. You watch them starve on video.
We're very happy with what happened with, I hope it continues, and I think it will, but what happens with India and Pakistan, that was a big success. If you would have seen the level of anger between the two, that was not a good thing, yes.
A senior Hamas leader said that they might be willing to give up power, an Egyptian proposal, in order to bring peace. Is that a step that you
we're going to look at everything, but we want to get the hostages back. I've gotten them, a big majority back, but we want to get the hostages back. So we'll see how that works out, okay?
Mr. President, are you planning to call Vladimir Putin? How do you think you can get those talks on track?
We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens.
He and I will meet. I think we'll solve it, or maybe not, but at least.
Sure. Okay. I mean, if there's anything that's going to be like, if there's a bust of Donald Trump in some outhouse in Georgia at some point that you can go pay 8 food coupons to go see, it'll say, we'll be able to make it happen, and if we don't, we'll see what happens. That'll the Trump doctrine.
And if we don't solve it, it'll be very interesting.
And then did Austin?
If we don't solve it, it will be very interesting. Or not, I guess.
Come up when you talk to the Syrian president.
I always talk about Austin Tice. Now, Austin Tice hasn't been seen in many, many years. You know that. He's got a great mother who's just working so hard to find her boy. So I understand it. But Austin has not been seen in many, many years.
You were joking about the endurance that it takes to do this. This was a lot to do in a short period of time. Conversations about endurance often focus now on Joe Biden and his endurance and his abilities. The Her tapes right now, there's a lot of discussion about it. When will they be released? Will you release them? How soon
Well, I
should
haven't looked into that. That's up to Pam and the group. I haven't really looked into it. Look,
like everything else.
Everybody understands the condition of him. I know people that are 89, 90, 92, 93 years old that are literally perfect.
No, you don't.
Joe was not one of them, and they did a lot of hiding. They were really playing games, and you know you can't do that. Our country's at stake. You see, even a thing like this, there's so many decisions for billions and billions, but then you have even more important decisions. You have decisions for life.
Yeah, that's true. You have decisions for life that you got to make. I mean, the money ones, that I'm wide awake for, and then you got this stupid life stuff. But we'll see what happens. I mean,
and you can't have a man in that condition. And everybody was holding back, including the press, including the media.
So you're welcoming white South Afrikaners into the country as refugees when you've closed off that door to a lot of other refugees from other parts of the world. What message does that send to those who say it isn't? Why is that fair?
Well, I think if I see people in distress, I don't care what color, what they look like, what...
Yeah, you kind of do. Yeah, I just, you know, it's the distress in their eyes. I don't care if they're blue or off blue or green or, did I mention blue?
What, anything, their size, their height, their eyes, I don't care.
You have to bring that up. I mean, you haven't had people meeting these people on the tarmac that like you did the Afrikaners. It's kind of weird.
I think that from all evidence, the farmers in South Africa are being treated brutally, and it's been reported, and nobody wants to cover it, but they happen to be white, and if they were black, I'd do the exact same thing.
No, you would not. Just Haiti, Dominican Republic, Sudan, Darfur, get the fuck out of here. This asshole won't even let Christians trying to escape Syria come into the United States. Christians. Apparently a group he allegedly cares about.
People very well when we see there's a genocide going on. So if it's a genocide, that's terrible. And I happen to believe it could very well be. South Africa's out of control, and it's been out of control for a long time, and the media doesn't report it. And I'm not looking for reporting because, believe me, it's easier for me not to do anything. It's a lot easier because I don't get nasty questions like that. But
he didn't ask you a nasty question. He's sucking up to you, dumb fuck.
The fact is that we're about saving lives, and we're going to do that. So we've made a home, and we'll make a home for other people that are treated badly, no matter what their color.
Will you go to the...
Yeah, as long as it's in the beige to taupe zone.
G20? Will you go to the G20 there?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
I'm really not
sure. On Iran, has the U.S. given them a formal proposal? Has Steve Witkoff handed that over?
Yeah, they have a proposal, but more importantly, they know they have to move quickly. Something bad's going to happen. Thank you.
They have to move quickly or something bad is going to happen. So basically, if they just sit and wait, they're either going to call your fucking bluff or you're going to either back Israel in bombing Iran heavily or you're going to do it. Right. So again, more of this shit. So let's see. I want to jump over to how much time do I got? Okay, I got an hour, so it should be all right. Okay, so people were talking about seeing more of the Dems doing stuff on the floor, and I just we'll just jump in on a bit of this. During remarks on the Senate floor Thursday, Senator Rick Scott debated Richard Blumenthal after Blumenthal blocked a series of votes on DOD nominees.
Senator from Florida is recognized.
Mr. President, the nominees that I will discuss today were approved by the Armed Services Committee with bipartisan support. Mm-hmm. Republican and Democrats agreed that they are qualified and ready to serve. President Trump was elected in a landslide in the American...
By the way, I guess he's mad in his mind that Blumenthal is doing the same thing. What's his name? Not Tillis. Tittleberger, the Louisiana guy.
People expect and deserve our support in getting his...
I don't care. I'm just fucking around.
...accomplished. President Trump and his administration are working incredibly hard to bring back the United States policy of peace through strength and to ensure our military is a respected and lethal fighting force. This is not an easy task after President Biden's weakness allowed our enemies free rein while our military leadership was distracted with being woke.
Sorry, they were... So what should they have been doing during the last 4 years? carpet bombing someplace? Yeah, it's Tuberville. I'm just fucking around.
President Trump needs his full team in place to deliver on his agenda.
I was actually trying to think up a good, like, play name for it, but I don't care enough about that asshole.
To restore our nation's military to focus on the warfighter. To that end, I ask that we move to consider the following nominees. First, I'll ask that we consider Dale Marks to be an Assistant Secretary of Defense.
Okay, he's going to bring these up. And then I think he finishes his remarks in Blumenthal.
The senator from Connecticut is
Thank you,
recognized.
Mr. President. Reserving the right to object, I appreciate my colleague from Florida asking for a competent team of professionals at the Department of Defense. We all want the Department of Defense to be managed efficiently and effectively. It's vital.
Also, can I point out something real quick? This is kind of a minor thing. But Blumenthal and a lot of the Democrats, when they're doing things, are talking incredibly slowly. And it drives, you could tell it's a strategy to deal with these issues in a timely matter, right? That's part of the thing. I don't want you to miss that because it's not an accident.
Our national security, what we have right now is chaos, literally confusion, turmoil, turbulence, in part because we have a Department of Defense that is unaccountable. Last Congress, I led a bicameral letter to then Secretary Austin demanding answers after a GAO report found significant failures in barracks facilities across the country. Billions of dollars have been poured into installations for housing and infrastructure improvements. But again, those investments are being undercut.
Wait, sorry. I'm a neolib? How would I be a neolib? Don't you mean neocon? Sorry. I guess are you being ironic? Because I guess I'm not for rando carpet bombing just to appear tough.
By the mass layoffs we see right now at the Department of Defense, we expect Mr. Marks to manage the entirety of the installations and environmental programs at DOD, but the administration, in effect, is undercutting him at every turn. This Secretary of Defense has created that chaos. He's shredded the department's report on climate change, despite it outlining the serious implications it will have on the
hype train
military in the coming decade.
Yeah.
I wonder whether the Secretary has actually visited Guam or Alaska and seen the effects of climate change in either place.
The audio a little.
I wonder whether he understands the equipment, the electronics, the ammunition that are required and that themselves require special storage and resilient infrastructure.
So good. You don't understand that the power of boredom, the power of detail, the power of pacing, weaponized I've never seen it weaponized in a purer form. And right now, because these guys, the Republicans want to rush these assholes through the voting process, and some of them are perfectly fine, I have no doubt. Some of them, I'm sure, are good people. But the rest of them, especially the ones picked by Pete Hegseth, are a waste of fucking time and will just contribute to the mess. And so, yeah, neo, meaning new, and lithic meaning stone, L-I-T-H, meaning stone.
If we expect them to perform in combat effectively, as climate change creates more challenging environments for our warfighters, the DoD should be leading the charge in research and adaptability.
The Senate will come to order. Silence your phone, dickweed.
Feel especially strongly that...
Yes, weaponized speech cadence. That's exactly what it is, Crystal. In what way?
The DoD, in firing its scientists and throwing research in the trash is betraying the values and principles that the Secretary ought to be fighting to uphold. Mr. Marks will be responsible for all of it, yet the Secretary hasn't the slightest idea of what he is doing in these areas. We questioned him for more than 4 hours during his hearing at the Armed Services Committee, that is the Secretary, and we all knew that he was the least qualified Secretary of Defense in our history.
Okay, so just because he's torturing Rick Scott doesn't mean we have to go through it. But I want to show you when they start, when the exchange begins, kind of, and it says they spar. And it will be some of the most boring sparring you will ever see in your life, I have no doubt. But, so he gives his time back, and then, he yields, and then Rick Scott says something else.
Or I object.
So he holds his objection to moving forward with these things. So in response to that, then Scott's got to enter something in so that they can start the process again, right?
The objection is heard.
Mr. President.
Senator from Florida.
I'm not sure I understand my colleague's objection. These are well-qualified nominees. They enjoy bipartisan support. There are several more nominees.
By the way, you remember how I was telling you that that Thune was arguing that they have slowed down all these things. They have not allowed voice votes. They're not allowing cloture on a lot of these things. They're having to override them with just Republican votes. And the Democrats are grinding the fucking brakes in all of these processes. This is it actually happening. This is what is happening every day in the well of the Senate. This is what Democrats are doing. And they all have an assignment to just go, nope. Remember all that shit about like, Mitch McConnell not allowing Obama to have his choice for the Supreme Court and holding that off, whatever? Well, payback's a bitch.
Waiting. But it's obvious. My colleagues across the aisle will do everything they can to undermine President Trump's agenda and delay these nominees.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think that's what we're asking for. It's what we're voting for. Yes, sure. Yeah. Do you mean to tell me that TYT is full of shit when they're saying Democrats are doing nothing? Sort of. Are they full of shit? Yes. But is it actually part of a shitty anti-democratic plan and drive that they have? Being just full of shit isn't enough of an excuse. It's an active measure. Being full of shit would be a passive measure. TYT is engaged in active measures.
Next, I would like to consider Keith Bass to be an Assistant Secretary of Defense. Mr. Bass.
So he put the consideration in and brings that up. And what does Blumenthal do? So he reads through his record, does it fairly quickly because he wants to get it done. And look who shows up.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Connecticut.
Reserving the right to object.
Reserving the right to object, meaning I get a few minutes to talk about why I will object, and then at the end I will object.
I once again agree with my colleague from Florida. We have worked together in a bipartisan way for years now, and I appreciate his leadership on the Sea Power Subcommittee, where we share a number of interests. I fear that the chaos at the Department of Defense, due to the slashing of positions, the confusion caused by ideological interventions that are...
Like, I gotta say, like the painful drawing it out. This is such a fucking word shiv, right? Run the clock out and they won't have time for the vote. That's that's what they've been doing. This is what Democrats are doing every day. To the extent that they can, they are riding the fucking brake the entire time. Clutch in, hard brake, whole time. Just so you know. All right, then here we go. Dink, dink, dink. And then they go through, and then he goes, like, I object. So there you go.
Mr. President.
Senator from Florida.
The president deserves his national security nominees today. So let's see if we'll consider this one. Brandon Williams to be
So this is the third one. There's like 5 of these fuckers.
Secretary for Nuclear Security, Military Health System. Mr. Williams is a former nuclear submarine officer. During his service, he made 6 strategic deterrence patrols. As a strategic military officer, was a nuclear weapons safety officer, nuclear weapons security officer, and nuclear weapons radiological control officer. Pretty competent.
Ever since then, he has been living near the villages and wearing a temporary Trump tattoo on his forehead.
This role is responsible for the maintenance of a safe, secure, and reliable nuclear stockpile.
Oh, we've got nuclear socks now. Well, it's it's easier to find your slippers, I think, when your feet glow in the dark.
Is critical to President Trump's peace through strength and strategic
his peach through strength. Sure.
Turns agenda. Hopefully, my colleague will see the wisdom in allowing this confirmation. This is an individual who's clearly qualified to be confirmed today.
What do you think? You think he does? You think Blumenthal, when they ask for objections, you think Blumenthal just lets this one slide?
The Senate's action and the Senate resume legislative session.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
The senator from Connecticut is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. On this one,
yeah,
I think the stakes are particularly high. At the Department of Energy, the Doge-Musk cuts led to hundreds of employees being fired. They were responsible.
He forgot to say reserve the right to object, but it's understood. I don't think they're gonna go, he gets through. It doesn't work that way. He'll say, I object at the end of it. So he does his whole thing, and then he finishes this up, and here comes, well, what about this guy?
Senator from Florida is recognized.
One final chance. Approved. So let's consider Bradley Hansel to be Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. Mr. Hansel is a former Green Beret.
And the brother of Gretel, if I'm not mistaken.
Senior
Doge is a heist.
Director on the National Security Council staff and has previously received bipartisan support. He will be responsible to exercise the Secretary of Defense authority, direction, and control over DIA, NGA, NSA, NRO, and the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency.
Okay, so this guy actually, it could be another Tulsi, so scrutiny is warranted in this situation.
His confirmation is critical to the President's peace through strength agenda. I once again urge my colleague to allow for the nomination.
Wow, very light on details on this dude.
Immediate confirmation. I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to executive session to consider the following nomination. Executive calendar number 108, Bradley Hansel to be Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. That the Senate vote on the nomination without intervening action or debate.
So he's trying to skip debate on this process. Does anybody have an objection to skipping debate, going straight to a voice vote, or straight, allowing cloture? Here comes Blumenthal. There he is.
Senator from Connecticut is recognized.
I wish I could agree to unanimous consent on this nomination.
You don't really, but that's fine. It's okay. And you're right, because this guy, is particularly suspect. Sure.
And as my colleague from Florida obviously understands, the issues here are bigger than any one of these nominees. The issues are more.
It's not personal, dude. It's that I'm worried about them. I don't want them serving under such a loose-lipped fuckwad like Pete Hegseth. This might ruin their careers. Why aren't you thinking about your own nominees? This is so good.
Consequential than the careers or advancement of any single member of the Department of Defense team. This secretary seems more concerned with his own public image than the safety of our service members.
He means Hegseth, for the record.
Because he has violated basic security protocols. We're talking here about an official who will be responsible for securing our national intelligence. When this secretary...
And just the pacing, just like, it's such a dig. All right, and then I don't think there's another one. I think he finishes up and here we go. There might be one last one.
So at some point, this has got to change.
No, it really doesn't.
We have presidential elections every 4 years. Our president got elected. President Trump got elected, whether people like it or not.
So Obama should have been able to pick somebody for SCOTUS? Fuck off.
He deserves the opportunity to put his team together and act as the president and put his agenda in place.
Yeah, that's not his team. He has his team. This is their team. And their choices are not his choices. Period. Yeah, again, no. Advise and consent. That means you guys have to give permission to it. He doesn't just get to pick whoever the fuck he wants, no matter what a bunch of suck-ups you guys are.
This idea that both parties sit here and delay nominees, the ability to put teams together, doesn't make any sense for
well, then you shouldn't have started it.
The future of this country. This is not a time there's no risk in the world. And so at some point, we're going to all have to come together and start accelerating this. We have so many nominees, whether it's a Republican or Democrat president, we have got to allow these nominees to get through and get confirmed.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. There's 10 people in there, holdovers, people who know the job. There's people under them that know the job better than the assholes these guys are putting in charge. So I don't think we're worried. As a matter of fact, these guys seem like hell-bent on stocking every government agency with people who will look the absolute wrong direction when the threat comes. So we might be better off with nobody barking orders than somebody who will bark for everybody to run in the wrong direction.
In a much more expedited manner. Otherwise, none of our presidents are ever going to get in the position that they can never put a team together during their 4-year term. Thank you, Mr. President.
I hear from the other side is essentially...
He even does in response to this, just eating up the legislative day.
Give the president whatever he wants in the name of his having the prerogative, and he should name his own team. But we have a responsibility. It's a constitutional obligation. Advise and consent is more than just saying, give him his own team. If we'd been responsible in this body, if my Republican colleagues had stood up and spoken out as they should have done, we would have a different Secretary of Defense right now. It would have been unnecessary for the Vice President to come here and break a tie. We would have a more competent Secretary of Defense.
We couldn't have a worse one.
That's the mindset that got us where we are today, and that is the reason that I have lodged these objections. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, let's remember what we just did today. This is not the confirmation of the Secretary of Defense. This is confirmation of
it's his team of enablers. So if they're a bunch of loose-lipped suck-ups that only care about him, they're terrible for the position because they will only enable his worst impulses.
Competent people. No one can question the competence of these 4 people. No one does. All right, these are competent people.
I do. Especially because there's a sliding scale of competence and the idea that these are the best suited people for the job. I'm not willing to take your advice on this because you voted for Hegseth. So what does that say about your bullshit judgment? You voted the moral leader of your party to be a guy who's had 3 wives, one of which he buried on a fucking golf course with no headstone, who hung out with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. So no, I'm not going to take your word for it. Go find somebody else.
Have served our country that will do a great job. So what we're doing is we're saying because some people don't like our Secretary of Defense that we're...
No, it's not about... Nobody likes Secretaries of Defense. A lot of them are assholes. They have been throughout history. It's almost their job in some ways. It isn't about whether they're likable or not. This asshole spilled attack plans as our pilots were in the air on an insecure app. He made everyone else in that chat group a criminal. Because up till that point, they were just assholes. But after he dropped that stuff, if they stayed in that chat, they were, I guess, accessories after the fact of the carriage of that information on an insecure site. They were fine with it, and therefore they were part of the problem.
Not going to allow the president to put a team together of very competent people. So what we're doing is now we just have acting people that none of us get to vote on. None of us get to question until they come to committee. None of this makes any sense. We're not...
Okay, chat room, sorry. Chat room, does this make sense to you? Democrats basically riding the fucking brakes in this? Makes sense to me. Sounds precisely what everybody has been asking Democrats to do. Sounds like precisely what TYT and some of these other assholes are saying the Democrats aren't doing. It is direct evidence that day after day after day, they are doing exactly what TYT and the others say they are not doing. Using every procedural lever to slow the roll of this bullshit administration as best they can in their co-equal branch of government, in their role as part of a co-equal branch of government. And what's Trump going to do? Shit on them the way he does SCOTUS? Tough. Democrats are doing this and have been doing this the whole fucking time. And you could argue that holding up Obama's choice of somebody in the SCOTUS is a much higher thing. It's a lifetime appointment than these cabinet positions where there's already somebody filling the role. It's just not somebody that will suck up to Pete Hegseth and carry his fucking gym bag. People who actually want to do their fucking job. So good on Blumenthal, good on the Democrats. And the next time somebody says the Democrats aren't doing anything, fucking show them this. Show them this video, because it's happening every day. You just don't watch enough C-SPAN. Meanwhile, it's Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc. How am I doing on time? Okay, I'm good. I got a couple of things. All right. I want to do this business. I just want to, okay, let me show you something. So something to keep an eye out. We're not going to do these videos because I don't have time for them today, but I want to show you something. There's a message that they're getting a full court press on right now. And you want to know who's kind of on the team and selling whatever the talking point is. Just look for these unified message things that come through, okay? Trump is a populist president for working men and women. And then meanwhile, same day, Megyn Kelly, how Trump helps the working class. He doesn't. But this is part of the push. People are starting to get pissed that he's fucking up their businesses and that the factories he's going to be reshoring are not going to be like car factories that require a lot of people in them. And again, these factories that he's talking about that they're going to be building over the next fucking, 10 years, and they'll break ground on them in the next couple of years, are going to be giant vending machines. They're going to have very few people working in them. Period. Unemployment is going to become the name of the game across a bunch of these areas. And to run interference for this, that, Elon Musk is literally in the act of replacing all the auto workers at his Tesla plants with robots, and that's 100% his goal. 100%. That's what they want it completely automated. To counterbalance that reality, they're selling this Trump as the man of the people, populist working class hero. Just letting you know. So, all right. Now, that said, Trump did a tour of in Abu Dhabi. And I think did they just follow him around? This is I don't even know if this is, yeah, it's just B-roll footage of this shit. Hey, there's a pretty big, there's some good marble, and they line up the people, and he gets, okay, so he goes to come in and shake hands with people. Okay, no word on, attends a business forum event with Crown Prince Sheikh Khaled in Abu Dhabi. So he's just meeting these guys on the line. This is another, hold on, we'll move through it. Shakes those hands, chit chats.
Great, how are you?
Rumbling it. Again, that's all he's saying is, you're doing a great job. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good. How's she doing? She doing a good job. You doing a good job. You're doing a good job. She says you're doing a good job. You think? You think he is? You think he is? You think he is? No, he's not. I'm just kidding. That's all he does. That's his business charm offensive. It sucks. Go. Nodding at the same shit. Is the footprint. This is where we're going to spend all our money. Hey, look, it's all in Southern California. What do you know? And Illinois. A couple places in Texas and I don't know, what are those footprints? Doesn't it, hold on, maybe they show the thing later on. Where's the orb? I want to rub the orb.
This would constitute
yeah, I don't care. Is this where my golf courses go? I don't care. This is their investment dog and pony show, so that he gives them whatever they want.
Fifth. But I think it's so impressive. I'd love to have you speak. We have some of the greatest people on earth in business, ExxonMobil, etc.
Yes, the greatest people in business on earth, ExxonMobil, etc. Also, what the fuck is going on with his head? What is this business? What's happening? What is that?
They could say a couple of words also, but this is a very big investment, you can see, and I'd love to have them speak so that you could hear it as well as me. So please
as
go
you
ahead.
can see on the map, we exist in 250 assets in 18 different states. This spans the whole energy value chain from gas development, production, exploration, distribution, and liquefaction, LNG terminals, energy infrastructure.
Is the money that they're spending, they will be spending in the United States over a period
Our
of...
current investments are 70 billion.
Current investments.
Committed 370 billion over the next 10 years, leading to 440 billion by 2035. This will have an annual
by 2035.
This will have an annual GDP impact of $29 billion, and it will support 470,000 jobs. This is what
over the course of a decade and a half. Many of them being temporary, jobs stop and start again when you're building or digging, and then yeah. Somebody's like, sorry, Hal, did you see the video of what? Sorry, I scroll this down. It's always so weird. How'd you see the video of the Arab Sheikh condemning Trump's visit, saying he went there to be welcomed like a king, not to bring any business there? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's right.
It's an internationally dedicated investment company focused on the energy value chain. The U.S. has become an absolute...
This is what all like these kind of like big dog and pony shows look like. Let me put this down here though, and we'll jump ahead in some of this. See if okay. So this is, hey, look at the money, huh? It's $440 billion over the course of 10 years. This is to 2035. And there's already $70 billion of investment. The idea that they're going to stack this over the next period, whatever, the next 8 years.
Mr. President, with your permission.
Or like 6 years and change, depending on if it's a soft target or not.
Occidental Petroleum. This is the most powerful woman in the petroleum business. That's what they tell me. I don't know. What do I know?
What do I know? I don't know. They said she's important. She's here. I don't know. Does anybody... Hey, chicks, am I right?
So our partners have committed...
That's what they tell me? Who's they? Let's just stop everything for a second and just point out the fact that Trump's whole, like, I know more about the fill in the blank than the people who do fill in the blank for a living is complete horseshit. And this is another prime example.
New investments worth $60 billion in upstream oil and gas, as well as new unconventional opportunities. Please.
Yeah, I'll have to explain to him what upstream oil and gas means, because he thinks it's in a stream.
Mr. President, we're obviously the largest ExxonMobil, the largest investor in oil and gas in the United States. We're also a large investor in the United Arab Emirates. ADNOC is a strategic...
By the way, can we get 9 subscribers today? Do you think we could get 9 to get me to 81,900? Just 9 subscribers. That's all we need. We're at 81,891. If we get 9 subscribers, we're at 81,900. That gets us pretty close. It was starting to get towards that 15 mark where we can get across the line. Come on. You can do it. 9 subscribers. Come on. Just do it. All right. Now, I want to jump in, look at something real quick in the live. I want to make sure that I can go into this little thing, go in the control room. Okay, go ahead.
Partner of ours globally. We look at it as the best of both. Exxon brings the technology and the global experience. ADNOC have a deep capability set. The best of the both is the way we're developing businesses.
It's great job you're doing.
Thank you.
Great job. Super job. Thanks for the memberships, by the way.
To present you with my facts. This is a top, the highest quality, lightest fluid, highest.
Okay, and again, blah blah blah. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So hold on. Thank you, Just Julie. Happy Friday to you too, John G. What's going on? And Hazy, thank you for the gift of the 5 memberships to people. That's lovely. There we go. 1 second. There we go. And then go stars. We go to here. I'm just gonna add something real quick, and then we'll get up and rolling. Let's go to. These are very big. Hold on. Let's go to here. Opening something up. There we go. There it is. There you go. Excellent. And we will edit. Adding something here. Add that. And then this guy. Save. And bin. There we go. All right.
Lowest carbon intensity that's just the top, and this is what we both produce.
Oh, is this when they give him the oil and the little like the little oil ornament? Oh, there's fucking Lutnick making a deal, doesn't realize the camera's on it.
So this is 1 drop of oil. Now they think I'm happy with that. This is the highest quality oil there is on the planet. And they only gave me a drop. Way to go, But anyway, it's tremendous what you're doing.
Yeah, so they gave him this little ornament that has oil in it as a bracelet or some shit, and he's like, they only gave me a drop. You think I'm happy about that? It's the best oil in the world, and they only gave me a drop. Like, what do you want, a fucking barrel, you weirdo? And there's Besant. They're all running interference for him. They're there to scoop up after the fact because he couldn't be more bored by this shit.
We're excited to get a concession, first of its kind for unconventional oil resources here in Abu Dhabi, partnering with ADNOC, leading energy company in the world. We're very excited to be here. We appreciate the opportunity.
What's unconventional exploration? Does that mean all your drilling team have nose rings or something?
I think it'll be
yeah, baby. I mean, this is just standard B-roll bullshit. So here's Besant making a statement.
The partnership and grow the U.S. economy. So,
God, this is just fucking corporate speak bullshit, and pretending that it's governance. This is just, yeah.
Nice to see you. My colleagues, Tom, you know him? You've been clinic. Yes, good. Mike from Oracle. Sailor Lab. Exactly. He's great. Sailor Great partner.
No, Lutnick's gonna carry the. I'll carry the oil, sir.
Linus, couldn't we let them come over here?
Of course. Please.
Might as well, I think. Yeah.
Can we get the press over here to take pictures of me with these real business people who actually know their industry?
Why don't you stand right here where you can see?
Let's bring the press closer.
Yeah, why don't you bring? Get a good shot of that. Yeah, that's what you want. Anyways, Blather, he ended up talking at this business forum, making short remarks, and they had just a great time. But that, again, this pushes my idea that they are intentionally taking pictures of him that make him look fucking terrible. Either way, or there is a chance that they're just stuck, and that there are no good pictures of this fucker right now.
Watch your step.
Okay. It's great. Just, this is what makes him a man of the people, I think, more than anything, is his, I don't know, being introduced by the...
These projects stand as a test.
Okay, and they go around everybody, and then here he goes.
But I want to thank His Highness, and I want to also thank His Highness Sheikh Tatnoon for welcoming us to this beautiful palace, beautiful place. Just generally, thank you all. Thank you very much. It was very exciting.
Yes, the echo in here is fucking fantastic. I guess the idea is if you don't trust anybody, a marble palace is fantastic because everybody's voice bounces off everything. So you can't even fucking whisper.
I also want to recognize
it's our own. It's a temple of paranoia.
All of the officials here from the area, as well as the many extraordinary business leaders with us today. We have some of the biggest business leaders, and they've been here over the last couple of days. And there's a great relationship with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE. There's great friendships, I can tell you that, at the top level. The
tippy top primo.
The relationship and friendship is good. It's a really unified Middle East, something that we haven't seen. The U.S. was absent for 4 years. We didn't really know too much what we were doing for 4 years. And things were not going good. Other people were courting the Middle East, but they won't even waste their time in courting them any longer.
I think he means China, but I don't know if he thinks he means China or not.
People in this room have helped commence between the United States and United Arab Emirates grow $34 billion a year. America's second highest total in the Middle East, and catching, going, but the other one's going up very quickly also. The United States has also put $19.5 billion trade surplus with UAE, and we are really thriving economically. And over the last period of time, we started at 8%.
But you still put a 10% tariff on them, even though we have a surplus with them?
Years ago, the relationship, then it was interrupted, as you know, sadly interrupted, and not much happened. Nothing happened, actually. But the relationship is now...
yeah, almost. That's the problem with the Biden administration. There was no graft. There was no... he didn't come over here and sell a bunch of military equipment and get a free golf course. What was he thinking?
At a much higher level than it ever was.
Okay, so they cut to the original mic instead of using the
and
mic.
It's going to only go in one direction because of the relationship. We have American companies. We have Exxon, Oracle, RTX, Qualcomm, and many others. Too many to name. Disney.
Qualcomm, not Qualcomm. Again, it's not a listening device for birds to talk to each other. They are not taking 2 cans of bird seed and attaching them with a string so that quails can have discussions while flying.
The new theme park is going to be incredible. Bob Iger.
Yes, the new Disneyland Abu Dhabi or whatever. Yeah, it's going to be a real joy.
I was in my office the other day, and he was showing it to me. It's going to be incredible. But we're making great progress toward a $1.4 trillion that UAE has announced that it intends to spend in the United States over the next couple of years.
Couple of decades.
Yesterday, the two countries also agreed to create a path for UAE to buy some of the world's most advanced AI semiconductors from American companies, a very big contract. This will generate billions and billions of dollars in business and accelerate the UAE's plans to become a really major player in artificial intelligence, and I read where the oil and gas and oil is great, but you're going to have equally big and maybe even bigger at some point. You'll be surpassing it with AI and other businesses. So it's.
You read that, did you? On the piece of paper right in front of you? Is that where you read it?
That's a great tribute to the job.
No, it isn't. It means they're out of oil and they have to transition away from it, stupid.
You've done here. The United Arab Emirates is also making incredible strides in industries like energy, real estate, and manufacturing. And I see it just in the drive out. And when you look at this building is amazing. We were here last night in the big auditorium, and it's amazing.
Not this chintzy little side thing where we ended up being at the Abu Dhabi Lollapalooza acoustic stage.
Nothing like it. The global aluminum from the Emirates has been the talk of the aluminum business. They're very big with aluminum, and now they're going to be spending a tremendous amount of money in one of my favorite places, Oklahoma, on expansion. And I said, just build your plant inside the United States and you have no tariffs. And that's exactly what they're doing. And that's what.
But you pay taxes, which is another variation on tariffs. You're not giving them like zero taxes. If you have a factory there, it's going to pay taxes.
Many.
Yeah, you don't pay tariffs, but nobody that makes their shit inside a country pays tariffs. Nobody does.
Companies are doing, the auto companies, all of them. There's never been anything like what's happening right now to the United States, I can tell you. Nothing.
Yes, I agree. This is the most obvious and pathetic grifting we've seen in our nation's history.
There's never been anything like it. We're at a level that no country has seen, I don't believe. We have, every time I meet, I usually increase it by about $1 trillion because we get news of another investment.
No, you don't. You double it or you double count stuff. Hashtag Doge is a heist.
But we're probably in the $12 to $13 trillion range of investments. And
no, we're not.
You can have a administration go for years and not have anything like that, and not only not that, have less than $8 trillion, and I think we're heading toward the $12 to $13 trillion.
Yeah, just keep just fucking create your own number, and make something that's going to happen over the course of 20 years, 2 years. Just lie your ass off.
Between projects already announced, mostly announced, but
mostly, yeah. Well, obviously you're not counting the ones that haven't been announced because they don't exist, do you?
Some are going to be announced very shortly, and literally very shortly.
Literally very shortly. Mm-hmm.
And two things are the factor. Number one, November 5th, that was the election. We had the most successful election that, in memory, they said one of the major media sources said the most consequential election in 129 years, and that gives us a mandate. It gives us.
Is that the last time we elected a adjudicated rapist? I forget.
The mandate to do the right things for businesses. We can do what we want to do because there's so much incompetence shown in the last 4 years that people just don't want. They don't want to have that anymore. Whether it's the border where people pour into our country without being even checked or looked at. 21 million people.
How do you know that they came in at all if they weren't checked and looked at? Nobody saw them. How do you know they came in? Oh, right.
Them are not the people you want. I'm going to be very nice because this is a little bit different setting, but they're not the people you want. But we now have 99.9% closed. Nobody thought that was possible.
No, they thought it was possible. You just have to pass a bill to fund it, and you haven't done that yet, so you're using emergency powers to do it. That's why it wasn't possible, because nobody actually thinks it's an emergency, and therefore the courts would stop you because they should.
A very successful border.
Hassan got checked. Hassan got checked because it's like his first time using global entry to come back into the country, and he talks to Houthis on the air. They're going to, of course, ask him. Jesus Christ. He acts like he got hit with a bag of oranges.
For the first time. I won the election the first time in 2016 because of the border. We made it very good, very fast, but now it's even at a new level, because I built hundreds of miles of wall, which we didn't have in the first election.
Glory days, his young girl's eyes, glory. He loves telling the old apocryphal stories about the 50 feet of new wall and the access road that he gave people the ability to walk to the end of the wall and go around it.
Because I hadn't started that yet. But we will soon have a very safe country. We're getting people out. We need help from the courts. The courts are trying to think that they're taking privilege that they shouldn't have. That was not what the election was all about. The election was they want people that shouldn't be there, people that are criminals in many cases. They want them out. They want them out. We're going to get them out fast.
Oh, you mean like that girl, the Georgetown University girl, who's like 20-something and is getting her education, and like criminals like her, right? The baby with cancer. Yeah, these are. I mean, what? I mean, obviously, a kid like that's going to grow up to be a murderer. So, nip it in the bud, I guess.
We just reached a fantastic trade deal, as you know, with the United Kingdom.
Yeah, fantastic. Finally, we've got crumpets going both directions.
Which was wonderful. And we have another big one that we just reached with China. The China deal is a very big deal. It's
not a deal. It's a 90-day pause while you agree to talk further. There is no deal. There wasn't a deal last time. They didn't honor the last deal you actually signed. So I don't know why the fuck you'll actually think they're going to be doing anything this time around.
Process of continuing to be formed.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a deal, but it's in the process of continuing to be formed. Like a deal. Nothing says deal like, we'll get to it later.
But they wanted to make that deal very badly, and we...
No, they didn't. They were making fun of you.
Have, at the same time, 150 countries that want to make a deal, but you're not able to see that many countries. So at a certain point over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think Scott and Howard will be sending letters out, essentially telling people, it would be very fair, but we'll be telling people what they'll be paying to do business in the United States. So essentially be paying to be doing business in the United States. I guess you...
Like a membership fee? What are we, Costco now? Also, so you're just going to make up an arbitrary fucking number for 150 countries. You're going to send them a note and go, this is what you're paying. And if you don't like it, I guess band together with all the other countries that don't like it and sell someplace else, or engage in massive lawsuits against us that will tie up our courts and end up with us paying a fine over the years for unfair trade practices.
Could say they could appeal it, but for the most part, I think we're going to be very fair. But it's not possible to meet the number of people that want to see us. And
you pick the fight with everybody at once because you don't even know where the problem is.
And but this was coming to UAE was very important. Coming to Saudi Arabia and Qatar was very important to me because of personal relationships that I had.
Yeah, personal relationships, golf courses, buildings. Yeah, personal relationships.
Maybe more than anything else.
Yeah, fuck America. This is about my personal business relationships with these assholes.
So it's been an amazing period of time. People have said very, very, I mean, I don't know, we're developing a lot of fans, but...
Yeah,
People have said they've never seen anything like's taken place over the last 4 days in terms of investment, in terms of the kind of money coming back into the United States. And all that money, the money is a nice word, but it's really jobs. We have jobs that are at a level that we very soon will not be able to, nobody can duplicate it.
Well, yeah, because Biden already had you at 4%.
And people want to be our partner. They want to be investing in the United States.
Oh, so they won't be able to duplicate it. So you're going to have to let more people in on visas to do the actual work?
And they weren't doing that. They weren't happy with the United States for a pretty long period of time.
Boo fuckity who? Is it our whole thing about we're not big fans of women not being able to drive or vote or live freely, or gay people being thrown off of fucking rooftops, or sectarian violence? Is that why? Because we just wouldn't let it go, you know?
So we've done something that I'm very proud of. We'll be heading back now, and I look forward to that. We'll go back to D.C. I just had a little announcement of a beautiful grandchild, a boy, Tiffany and Michael. So we're very excited about that. I look forward to that. I probably should have left yesterday, but I couldn't disappoint you. Your father would have been extremely upset with me, and you would have been more upset.
He would have understood, sir.
We had such a beautiful evening, and they planned it so beautifully. I said,
Ew.
I'm going to have to wait just a little bit. But the way we were treated by your family, the way we were treated by Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and others has just been so I'm very proud to be representing the United States of America. And thank you all for being here. And media, thank you very much. You've been very fair. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you've been very fair. So get out of here so we can make some private deals. Oy. Yeah, just friggin' magic. Yeah. Now there was a, where is it? Okay, I'll get to this. Will be, I don't know that we'll be able to do all of this one. Hit that like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. How many subscribe, will you? I gotta check my numbers on subscribers in this situation. Let me see if I can go back to this. Let's go back to the studio thing on there. And, oh, we did it. We crossed over 903. Look at that, 81,903. Thank you, guys. We cleared the number. That wasn't hard. Maybe I should just do it little by little. Maybe that's what it takes. Maybe I just have to specifically choose a goal of, like, I don't know, 7 more people to make it 81,910. Not difficult. Doesn't cost you anything. So thank you guys so much for doing that. That's lovely. Also, Super Chat's a great way to support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Great, would help. Yes. Membership Friday. Yes. Thank you, Robin Dopp, especially those on Twitch who are subscribing as well. Remember, if you got Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. But we did clear that. All I had to add, you know what? It's an important lesson for me to learn. All I had to do was ask. All I had to do was ask. And I got to learn that. I got to trust you guys. Okay, so you want to see something gross? I'm sorry, but you're going to. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our favorite fondle bunny from the Freedom Caucasians on Matt Gaetz's show. Ugh. The two of them together. Boebert slams GOP. Unacceptable that Democrats filed Trump-era drug price bill. Also, this like fucking Temu version of that Nickelback song, that party anthem that they did is what this is a ripoff of. Ugh.
President Donald J. Trump has been committing crimes since day one. Call on my colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, to do what's right. Impeach Donald J. Trump.
That was...
Ugh, God, dude. How do you manage to look skeevier every fucking time?
Democrat Cherie Tanadar introducing an impeachment resolution yesterday. I'd never heard of Congressman Cherie.
Well, now he lives rent-free in your empty fucking dome behind that 5-head of yours.
Genderless wonder. The move forces the House of Representatives to take action on the measure by the end of the week. The unkempt representative introduced 7 articles of impeachment.
Unkempt? Is it because of he's got wavy hair or something like that? I mean, dude's in a suit. It's not like he's Fettermaning around the fucking house.
Late last month, he accused President Trump of obstruction of justice. That's just an old doozy they love going to. Obstruction of justice, abuse of trade power, bribery, and corruption. He also took a shot at Doge, calling it flagrantly unconstitutional.
Oh, he's going easy on it. Hashtag Doge is a heist. Unconstitutional, that's the least of our worries. It's a fucking criminal enterprise.
House GOP leaders will likely move to table the motion.
Oh, wait. Hold on, chat room. I got to show you something. This drove me fucking crazy. So, let's see if I'll be able to find this. So, I don't know if you know this, but Doge was, where is it? They did there's a reason why the Doge people like lied about the number, how much fraud there was in Medicare and Medicaid. I gotta find this because it was like how it happened was fucking stunning. Let's see. Was it on? I think I was reading it on here, so I'll share it from this. 1 second. Yeah. Yeah, this is so fucking stupid. Hold on. Good God. All right. Yeah, here we go. So, Doge's fraud tracker at Social Security turns into a massive cell phone is this article from the Daily Beast. And the details from it are fucking spectacular. So, these guys are supposed to be the super smart, computery, mathy people, okay? And what they said was they told people, and I saw the part of the hearing or the interview where they were talking about where this spread around, that 40% of the calls that they were getting in, you know, for Social Security and Medicaid, or yes, for Social Security were fraudulent. 40%. 40% of the calls were fraudulent. This is what they were saying. That's where they got this idea that they were going to get, you know, somewhere around $1 trillion in savings from Social Security because half of the calls that happen just about are fraudulent. And we get rid of that fraud. Holy shit, we're going to save $1 trillion, right? That was the sales pitch. And where did that come from? Well, it came from one of the Doge assholes, and I think it's in here. Yeah, so let me just switch to a reader so we can just do this easier. Okay. It turns out that 40% of the calls to Social Security Administration are not fraudulent. Doge's probe revealed the real figure is 0.0018%. That's how much fraud the calls that go into that. Now, that 40% number is meaningful in relation to this number. And I'll explain in a minute. But this is how fucking dumb these people are. All right, check this out. So, procedures implemented by the Department of Government Efficiency suggested that just two out of the 110,000 calls to the Social Security Administration this spring had a high probability of being fraudulent. By the way, this doesn't mean that they were fraudulent. It means they had a high probability. You could go check, and it could turn out they weren't. They just sound fraudulent, right? The high probability is not conviction, right? So, that is a far cry from the 40% figure that was parroted by MAGA in recent months, including by Doge's recently departed leader, Elon Musk, and Vice President J.D. Vance. The real figure is about 0.0018%. Okay. The anti-fraud procedures were put in place by Doge last month. By the way, it just piggybacked on ones that were already there, and have seemingly done more harm than good. According to an internal memo viewed by NextGov and FCW, the new procedures reassured Doge staff members that fraudsters were not phoning the SSA every second, but reportedly slowed processing times at the administration by 25% and may soon be removed from protocol. So they slowed down real people needing help with their Social Security. 25% of them, the response time to their concerns or their problem was slowed down, minimum. I would argue that it's probably bigger. I don't trust the numbers anyways, but 25 at minimum. And so they're going to remove it. And they found that only 2 out of 110,000 calls had a high probability of being fraudulent and still not proving that they are. Okay, here we go. So where did this come from? Doge's anti-fraud protocol required a 3-day hold to be placed on phone calls in order to check for fraud. So everybody had to wait an extra 3 days. This procedure delays payments and benefits to customers despite an extremely low risk of fraud. And again, you're harming people who earned these, earned this money. They are entitled to this money, and you are putting them in financial danger. You're damaging them because it's not their fault you're behind and haven't sent their check or done this stuff, right? And so by slowing this down, it's a dick move. But here's the thing. Where did it come from? Okay, so, and these are the math kids. Remember this. The 40% figure circulating in MAGA circles stems from a Fox News segment on March 27th where Doge engineer Aram Mogadassi wrongly claimed that 40% of the calls made to Social Security Administration to change direct deposit information were from fraudsters. So remember that. 40% of the calls where people were trying to change their direct deposit information, they change their bank account and therefore they move their banking, their direct deposit has to go from their old bank account to their new bank account. That's all they're trying to do. Or they retire, they're no longer at their job or something, and so instead of it going through some account that they have, it goes directly to them. Whatever their situation is, if you call up to change where it's going or you filed stuff, and this, by the way, isn't just the people who filed to change this, to move their account, their direct deposit from one to, they've done all the paperwork, but there's a problem with it, so they call in because they have a problem. And then, in this case, they got a 3-day delay for no fucking reason, just to sit on it, to see if the person calls back. Because it's not even 3 days where they're looking into it. It's just a 3-day pause on response. Fucking lame. Okay, so in reality, NextGov SCW reports that 40% of direct deposit fraud at the agency is associated with phone calls. So of all the people that are changing their direct deposit stuff, it's not 40% of those people. It's of the fraud that occurs, which there are 2 calls out of that 110,000. Of those 2 calls, almost one of them was from a phone call. Like, they were trying to defraud via the phone. The other person, I don't know what the fuck, but half of those people were trying to, of 2 fucking people, of the people that called in, 40% of direct deposit fraud at the agency is associated with phone calls. So of that 110,000, of the 2 that they marked for highly possible that it was fraud, almost one of those people committed their fraud over the phone. 40% of the 2. Yeah. So I don't know why it's not 50-50. Did the guy just not commit? It's just fucking stupid. This is crucial to like how dumb Doge is. It's not 40% of the 110,000 calls are fraudulent. It's the 2 fraudulent calls that they think they found. 40% of them, the fraud happened over the phone. The other one, I guess, may have, I don't know, called in to check on their filing and see if it had gone through. So they didn't defraud on the phone. They weren't directly lying in the call. They did it through paperwork. Of the fraud that happens, half of it, under half of it happens via people calling in. And of the calls coming in, the fraud that occurs is 0.0018%. Yeah, this is so bad. This is so fucking dumb. Likely based on exaggerated fraud figures, by the way, the SSA announced in March that it would phase out allowing people to make account changes or claims over the phone. That policy was scrapped a short time later following a public backlash. That's because this motherfucker told everybody, this asshole and his buddies that were on that Fox News interview, that almost half of the people who call in checking on their shit, why is my direct deposit not going in the right account? That 40% of those people are fraudulent. That's the story, which totally explains how this motherfucker said that. Remember that thing he was saying about how people who squeal the loudest are the most fraudulent? That the people who, if you turn off the tap, it's the fraudsters that call in first. Well, first of all, that's bullshit. If you know you're committing fraud and it gets cut off, you're not the first person to yell about it. As a matter of fact, you're hoping it will get turned back on, or you manage your scheme some other way. But the idea that you'll call up when you know you're fucking committing a crime, it's like breaking into a bank and going, it says on your website that this is a Coleman Hughes fucking safe door in here, and I come in here and it's a Langley. What the fuck? Like that, it's ridiculous. Nutlick was repeating what he had said. Elon Musk said repeatedly that the people who squeal the most are the people who are engaged in fraud. And where did he get that from? It seems like there was a source from within Doge is where he got that from. This dipshit who said 40% of the calls that come in are fraudulent instead of 40% of the fraudulent calls, of which there are 2 possibly, again, suspected, not proven, but 2 possibly. Of those, 40% of the 100%, which is 2 people, and again, This gets into 2.5 kids category. I got to stop at 5 o'clock because I got to go get kitties. But I wanted to end on this because this is so fucking crucial. So clip this piece and show it out there. It's a really important detail because it not only points out that they're lying about the fraud that's in Social Security and they are denigrating people who are out, who are on Social Security and desperately need this to survive. But on top of that, it shows that they're just fucking dumb. These are Trump's idea of geniuses. This is, these are people who are supposed to be, whiz kids, right? Brainiacs, great geniuses with good genes, right? Nope. Morons. Can't even do statistics. It was always a lie. Of 110,000 calls, 40% of them were not fraudulent. There were 2 possibly fraudulent calls, and 40% of those involved using a telephone. This is why competence matters and why no one should fear complexity. Son of a bitch. Hit that like, everybody. Share the show, and thank you guys for subscribing today. Get me over that number. If it tickles your fancy, let's get 20 more subscribers tonight. If you're watching this later and you're seeing this and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. All right, and credits. Should we roll those? There they go. Oh, the Queers Vote Pride. Awesome. Thank you, Twitch streamers, by the way. There you go. There's our subscribers. Look at you guys. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And members, thank you so much. Level 5 Hype Train. Thank you, CSL. Thank you, Andrea. You guys are awesome. And I'm hugging you right now. Look at that. Look at the subscribe. There we go. Thank you for the cheers. Andrea and Can't Stop Lying and Nightbot are our bosses. And Mamie, thank you so much for the super chat. All right, I gotta go pick up some kitties at the vet.